Hey, yo, it's Guido coming at you with a Tactics Talk. Thanks for tuning in. On this episode, we have Spud Tuber, and he is driving his Object 430 version 2. It's a Russian Tier 9 medium tank. He's on El Haluf. He has spawned into the northeast spawn on an encounter mode, and he's headed up to the northwest brawling area. See how Spud Tuber does here, and we're going to see a pretty good example of breaking the jam. When you've got that log jam where both teams are kind of content to sit there and play punchy face, poking out, shooting each other in the face, and attempting to get into weak spots, we're going to see Spud Tuber maybe use his brain a little bit and attempt to come around and break the log jam. And a lot of times, games can be analyzed and broken down into one or maybe two or three at the most, kind of situations like you're going to see here, where a relatively even game gets broken wide open by one player making a good decision on when to push or flank or take a chance. Because what you'll find with the vast majority of players in this game is they are unwilling to take a chance, and they're more than happy to sit there and trade, poking and prodding, and typically die doing so without really trying to analyze what's going on. So he's got the 103 there. The Centurion tries to make a run for it. Spud uses the shift zoom technique from what I can tell here, which throws me off a little bit. There's a point in this battle when things are getting hairy, and I actually first started to think he was the T10. So we'll see how that goes. You can see that the arty's raining down, and we're using the ridge. We've had a couple guys over here. We've got at least one, the 416, that's pushed around to the corner here, although he's on this eastern side, not the western side of that. I think it's pretty important to have somebody over here. It's difficult to get to, and again, because most players are passive, they're unwilling to take a chance as far as trading hit points to get there. Now this Centurion AX is really anchoring the enemy's defense right here. The E75 makes a good move pushing up to try to start working on him, and Spud gets a lucky bounce right there. But that AX is going to be a big thorn in their side. It's got very good gun depression. And now right here was probably a missed opportunity. I think he's really the only guy up there. There is a 268 version 4 over there. He's going to be a big problem in a moment. But they may have not had an opportunity right here to all three come up and over and take that AX out. But they're going to pass on that. There is a question as to how many tanks might be behind that guy. But as far as on the ramp, it looks like it's only the AX. Spud's going to shift over for an opportunity on a scout that's kind of out in the open down here. Not a great position for him right there, especially if he's lit up. A fight goes on behind him. He actually misses that shot. That guy gets rammed. And Spud's team has a pretty good lead right now, but we've got this 268-4 has decided to push in. And he's just a huge problem. Of course, it's a completely broken tank, and Wargaming just really screwed the pooch on bringing this thing into the game. The fact that it hasn't been nerfed is completely stupid and really just shows exactly how idiotic they can be as far as the balance on their game goes. I mean, this thing is essentially an emergency at this point that they need to take care of, and of course they refuse to do it. So that's my sidebar on that. You can see that he's having trouble getting any kind of ability to pen on the lower part of the 268, but the 268 is taking damage. As it rocks back and forth, one of the problems with it rocking back and forth is it actually makes the shots a little bit easier. I'd have gone for that lower plate there, but I think you probably could have penned him with your heat. And I'd also dabbed too long ago. But he is getting torn up. So they made a bit of a comeback on him. This is where I thought Spud was the T10. I was having a hard time keeping track of it. The FV YOLO's out. He's about to go down. And Spud wants to go change the fight, so he's switching around. Now, I think, once again, Spud, you probably had that 268 if you'd have gone after his lower plate, especially if you'd have just dabbed 2, you could have taken him out. In addition, now let's look at this Centurion back here. He's really hurt, and we got 2 guys here, one with enough hit points, and Spud probably with enough hit points as well. The 103 is now swung around, and he is a problem there you'd have to think about. But if you take a look at what's lit, you got all these guys here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tanks, 6, 7, 8, and 2 arty, 9, 10. That's it. That's all their tanks. There just isn't anybody back here that's going to shoot you when you come up and over, minus maybe the Panther 2 if he's in position. And that's just reading the battle right there. Now Spud's going to swing around. Looks like he wants to go back over here and potentially help out because they are getting surrounded. And now things are looking kind of bad for him. They've got guys on both sides. He takes a hit right here. The object 430 version 2 actually hits him somehow after that shot that Spud missed. And now he's turning around, probably thinking, well, we've got to clean this up. There's nothing I can do about those guys back here, especially with the other tanks behind us. And that ridiculous 268 version 4 is still there. Bit of a dangerous move charging in here. Centurion put some damage on him with HE, if you can believe it. And now this is the move right here. So finally, I think Spud kind of realizes, you know what? We have to take him off of this hill so that we can now start working the sides of these guys. Anchor the rest of the fight for these guys over here so that we quit getting hit in the side by either the Centurion poking up and over or these guys using this defilade position or the hold down position right there. So oh my god, so oh my gosh. Yeah, just a little bit silly right there, Spud. And ends up taking a artillery shot. Ducks down to avoid the Panther 2, and this is the right move right here. Panther 2's up here somewhere. There's no reason to stay up high anyway. Just come around behind these guys, and this really just breaks this game open right here. We're going to come up and around. We're going to take care of the RHM. So he's been a thorn in the side of the guys trying to poke. There's the 268 version 4, or 268-4, whatever you want to call it, and down he goes. And we're going to come around here and get a nice ammo rack on him. And that's 3 tanks in quick succession, saving the rest of his tanks from taking another shot in the face from the 268 or the RHM. And now things are looking much, much better. The entire team swings back to the 2 that came behind him, which is a great idea right there. Now, there isn't a cap over where the red team spawned, so some of those people I bet would have continued to cap if there was a cap over there. Good news is this was encounter, so the tomatoes were not tempted to go after the cap. They stuck around where the cap is, which happens to be down here. Yeah, that whole the whole shift zoom thing is really confusing to me. It works for some people. He's just getting bombed on by artillery right and left. So I'm going to go ahead and go chipmunk speed here because not a whole lot happens. He heads through the middle. Looking for artillery probably. Now let's take a look at this real quick. He sees the Panther 2 and then he doesn't have the elevation. Now he's going to try to back up. And the problem with this is you're backing up a hill. So we can come out of this here. You're backing up a hill which is not likely to help you. It does flatten out a little bit right behind you there. But more than likely going forward and coming up over here was probably your best bet to get your gun on. And you realize that pretty quickly. And now we're going to head down forward. We're going to go fight this Panther. Who's not the swiftest enemy driver over there. So there's the 55-58. He sees him. There's guys threatening the 55-58. This is great. So he comes up here and he actually gets hit. I'm going chipmunk speed here just to get this going. He actually gets hit by the bloody artillery. The artillery crashes. Now he's going to come up and around here. I think this guy's using the needle gun as I recall here. Slow it back down. Yep. Ends up bouncing a shot that works out. And down he goes. So nice job, Spud, with 2,800, 2,237 assists, 6 kills, middle tier, and a 3.57 on El Haluf. And it's a great example of that one move, that one aggressive move. You see an opportunity, there's a seam in the defense. I've talked about that a lot. It's been a while actually since I've gone and done a video on it, but it's either finding a seam there at the localized fight up there in the northwest or a seam in a generalized sense on the entire map and getting behind people. But he exploited a weakened enemy and finally pushed up there and took him out. I think you guys could have done that a lot sooner, and that would have helped out your fight up there much earlier. But as it was, once you noticed that he was a one-shot and you had the hit points, you were able to push up and do it. And notice that none of the other tanks really seemed willing to do that. He'd probably been on those hit points for a while. and had the E75, and I think it was the T10 or whoever it was right next to him, had simply gone up and taken him out, that probably would have broken open that corner much sooner. But nice job, Spud. Good game overall. Hope you guys learned something. I hope you like what you saw there. If you did, make sure you subscribe, and we will see you.